Now, with Australia, remember, there was quite the outrage when Peter Dutton, in the budget in reply speech last year, dropped perhaps his most popular policy, one agreed by about 75% of people in marginal seats.
We will implement a 2-year ban on foreign investors and temporary residents purchasing existing homes in Australia.
And you remember, Labor hated the idea.
It'll cost the economy billions of dollars, but even the kinds of estimates that you will see are conservative because it's not possible to fully capture the damage that Peter Dutton would do to the skills base of this country.
Meantime, remember Lefty Laura Tingle? She was out there at the Writers' Festival circuit pretending that Peter Dutton's evil Ooga Booga policies was going to result in people going after people who look different.
Basically, he has given them licence to be abused.
Well, guess what? The Labor Party is now going to introduce exactly the same policy. Not exactly, because they're still going to let foreign buyers buy things off the plan, but they too, via the Housing Minister, clueless Clare O'Neil, are now matching the policy of which they said would ruin the budget when it was Peter Dutton's idea last year. But they think you're stupid and you won't remember.
It's not a silver bullet to the housing crisis because there is no silver bullet, but I really firmly believe that given the housing pressures that Australians are facing today, we need to orient the entire efforts of the Australian government around security of housing for Australians and, wherever possible, home ownership for a broader range of young Australians.
Yeah, the Me Too election. Labor desperately trying to say, we'll do it as well, we'll do it as well. That policy has had support 75% of people in marginal electorates. I do not believe that the Libs have talked about that policy enough, so it may end up being a little bit of a political wash, but watch this space. There is plenty more to it. A couple of other things I want to mention before we are done this evening and get into No Sooks, No Lefties. I'll wrap up my bit as soon as possible so we can get to the debate and discussion in a moment or two's time. Excellent report on 60 Minutes last night, in and around how the use of cab charges, particularly with older or disabled people, is being ripped off by people who are driving certain cabs. Go back and try and find that story online, but it is pretty amazing. But put simply, what they were able to prove was that the passenger may well be handed a receipt, but the actual amount of money that gets charged back to the cab charge ends up being hundreds of dollars for what might be a $30 to $50 fare. Now, I do not understand in the world of technology that we live in now that we still have this absurd situation where you've got the meter, but the meter doesn't automatically tell the EFTPOS machine what should be being charged. Instead, as you know, anyone who's been in a cab, there's this bit where they add extra numbers and the nighttime bit, and we went over the tolls. So it might be sort of close, but unless you're really paying attention, there's an opportunity here for some extra dollars to be added. Or there's scenarios where cab charges are being handed over, a receipt is being produced, but the actual amount of money being taken on the cab charge is hundreds and hundreds of dollars. This matters because many of the people with those cab charges, it's part of the NDIS. We should have a system that is exactly the same as the one who's ever driven or ridden in a cab in a place like New York, where the driver is not the one entering the detail. You can see it ticking over in the meter immediately to the little screen out the back. Tap and go, tap and go, tap and go. Surely some system could be presented there.